Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this new White for Kids training capsule. I hope you hear me well.
Yes,
thank you all for joining us today. As always, these sessions are designed to bring together our community of innovators, clinicians, researchers, entrepreneurs working to improve pediatric health. Before beginning, a quick reminder of our upcoming gatherings. Maybe, yeah, and the next slide. Well, this session will last for 45 minutes. Please have your microphones in mute, and we encourage you to activate your cameras and also to write us to the Q&A section for any question or comment for this session. And yeah, this is where you can find us in the following days. We will be attending the 4 years from now at Mobile World Congress. We will be in the Hall 8 from 2 to 5 of March. And also a quick reminder of our next kick-off meeting for the program 2036-2038 on the 27th of February. Only for members and partners, and it will be held in person at Pier 07. Okay. So now let's move into today's session. The title of the training capsule is "Building, Not Just Baking: Montana's Model for Creating Pediatric Health Companies." Today we have the pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Marc Ramis. He's manager partner at the Montana Children's Health Fund and a key figure in driving forward models that combine investment and company building in pediatric health ecosystem. He will explain us a lot more about his experience and what they are doing at Montana and Ship2B Ventures. And I don't know, maybe I don't want to keep the floor. Marc, this is your time. You can share the presentation or something. Yeah, perfect. So we hope you enjoyed this session, and please, any question or comments that you have, write it, and we will be answering now or maybe later. Okay.
Hey, hi everyone. Thank you for this opportunity to be again enjoying this with the community at i4Kids. For me, I like to say that I always feel at home, a bit at home when I am doing things with i4Kids. And for me, it's a pleasure to update you on where we are, and as well on the topic of today's capsule that is on building companies. Okay. Sorry if there's some noise. We trained before and it seems that is okay, but let's just let you know I'm in the middle of a conference, so I'm sorry about if so noise. Okay, so basically, I think that you are going to be collecting questions for the end of the capsule. Okay, so basically I have the challenge today to explain you more than how we are going to be investing in companies. It is more about why we are going to do it, okay, and our approach, the model that we are building. Also, you know, the people from i4Kids, the community, you know that we have been building the fund in the last 3 years, and now we got another milestone, no, and now we are going to be building as well our model. So for us, it's always learning by doing, and also I will finish also explaining a few modalities on backing startups that we are going to be considering in the next 4 years. So as you know, our purpose at Montana is always the same, and it is not changing over time. That is transforming children's life through strategic investments in healthcare. Okay, and our landing approach to that, and I know that I've been showing this slide many times, but also for us is really important to keep that in our manifesto as a fund, is that we are considering ourselves as part of this child lens investing new way that is being reported not many years ago, like if you think about less than 3 years ago, by UNICEF, no, in this report, and that's where we stand, no, as the children are the world's most important legacy. Okay, based on that, and if you pay attention to the report that I extremely suggest everyone to read that. That's one of my key messages today. You will see that they 3 years ago they did an initial work on trying to describe what means by childless investing. Now 3 years later, there are a few other organizations that they are also describing that, like Save the Children, Triodos. But basically, they were the first, for me, report that they were describing clearly what means, no, in terms of purpose, principle, elements, and also very important taxonomy. Okay, and I will be focused a bit more on that. So what they did is they kind of fragmented the space in 3 different type of potential investments: screen, child, inclusive, and center. Okay, and kind of they did some analysis on who and where several organizations they were already investing and how they will be described if children were affected stakeholders, if children as indirect beneficiaries, or children as primary beneficiaries of the investment. And I like this a lot. This I am here in India for this important impact event summit here. And 2 hours ago, and I updated my presentation, I was in this really interesting roundtable about EI policy and governance, and I was really impressed on how the people were putting the child in the middle. Okay, and they were, and it says that in the title, no, towards a child-centric EI policy, no, about EI policy. Okay, so for us, our approach to invest is basically by being aligned with this child-centric, child-centered concept on the way to invest, and not just as indirect beneficiaries. No? And what the people from UNICEF they did is they put all these organizations in this very interesting graph that were on the vertical. You can see from child adjacent to child integrated to child centered. So the higher you go, the more centered you are into children. On the X, what they did is they did more catalytic capital on the left, meaning more philanthropic impact first, to more private finance first capital. No, and what this nice graph showed 3 years ago was that there are a few already existing organizations that they are investing child-centered, but most of them are catalytic capital, like Bill and Melinda Gates, UNICEF, Save the Children, and others. So, and the more that you go to finance first, the less the child is centered. Okay, and that was really interesting because there's a clear gap to be filled, and that's what precisely John Parker at Spring Hood started a few years ago, and that's how we were inspired by him to do something similar here in Europe by launching Spring Hood Ventures from the Hood Foundation to basically provide finance first investment and be at the same time child-centered. Okay, so that's where the innovation on the way of investment is based. And what we did, and thanks as well to i4Kids Europe, is we understood that the similar things were happening as well in Europe. And last year, it was published this white paper, no, that there are very interesting data. This is the second report that I suggest everyone to read. And for me, the key data was that only 1.6% of traditional venture capital has been deployed to pediatric innovation. Okay, so you have a population, you have pediatric innovation there, but only 1.6% of the capital risk is being deployed. So that's why Springhood Ventures in the US makes sense, and that's why we decided basically to do this approach to investment. And also two important angles that we cover, and I strongly also suggest the audience to read this paper from the Academy of Medical Science in the UK from 2024. It shows very clearly how an early intervention, it's not only interesting to save and to improve children's health, but as well adult health. So the idea to do interventions in early years, it is much more cost effective than doing that later, and especially how healthcare systems are evolving in Europe, and how important becomes preventive medicine. This idea becomes more and more important, no? And also taking the child into the center, then you have also the indirect impacts into families, okay, caregivers, and community and social infrastructure. Okay, so basically that was the concepts that we implemented in the building our fund, and as you probably know, our fund sits here on the financial. Sorry. Can everyone be on mute, please? And it sits on the financial gap where we have been. The public funding and venture philanthropy has been investing massively in research centers in the last years that generates pediatric innovation, but pediatric innovation is not being transferred to the healthcare market. That's where our fund is a tech transfer fund that facilitates that. And I think it's the last slide that I'm about this particular approach. What the three main elements that are important in our impact investing approach is, the first one is financial sustainability. Okay, so we seek financial returns in our investments. We are not venture philanthropy. That's very important to understand. The second one is that we are focused on operational efficiency. Okay, so that's why it is fundamentally for us how we build teams, how we empower entrepreneurs in our fund. So basically, in our fund, we invest in people, in entrepreneurs, okay, and how they are developing current technologies. And as well, we are in our approach to invest, we are a very hands-on fund. So our idea is to support startups to grow, to find the exit. Okay, so these are three very important points for us. So based on this is our approach to invest. In the last 3 years, we have been working in our model. Okay, and today I will explain you a bit about two different elements. One is the fund, but we consider Montana. This fund that is regulated at the CNMV and is going to be investing in different startups in the next years, and separate our collaboration, our initiative with the Childlands, that it is a different organization that is taking care of building companies, not investing in companies. Okay, and I will try to explain you today here the difference in our model. Okay, and also saying that is a model that it is growing as and learning as it is been doing. Okay, so Montana is our fund that is going to be targeting 45-50 million is 2026, and is going to be investing in 15 to 17 companies in the next 4 years. It's a tech transfer fund that it's focused more on really early stage opportunities. Our investment thesis is basically 3 different pillars. One is prevention, everything you can do to prevent a vulnerable situation in children. Also, developing new medicines that are targeting children first. And the third one that we'll call quality of life is more on assuring that children that they are chronic patients or they have been through a situation in health that made them vulnerable, how is the quality of life of these children? No? And based on these three pillars, our healthcare sectors are quite agnostic. So we can do diagnostics, therapeutics, medtech, food as a medicine, or digital health. So it has to be children's health, but can be any industrial sector in the healthcare system. And here it's our investment strategy. So we could invest in Series A, in seed, and in pre-seed stages. Okay, and our fund is planning to do that. And our funnel it's based on this. Today, I will explain you a bit more on our pre-seed, how we are backing these companies, okay? So it's what we call our venture building, where we maximize impact, we engage with academic funders, and our idea is to do 3-5 deals on this in the next years. And that's where we are going to establish a collaboration with the challenge to support this activity. And the idea is to analyze the projects with these 7 different angles. No, it is an unmet medical need. There's a sustainable business model. The science, the technology, the innovation is exceptional. It has to be aligned with the patients and families. There's talent there, people. There's potential payer, no. And obviously, it brings a positive impact in our ecosystem. And we are going to do that directly in collaboration with academic institutions, research centers, institutes. And we are going to bring that from identification of a potential opportunity to our investment committee. No? And the idea is basically to do the identification, find an agreement between the institution and Montana, analyze the viability of the project, set up the company, and then basically bring that to our investment committee. So this is the process that we are going to do, and we are going to be doing that in collaboration with entrepreneurs, founders in residence, experts, not in our investment decisions, but in how we are building this company. And that's why we are developing these other initiatives, the challenge to do so. And as a viability analysis phase, so basically we are going to be analyzing the problem, developing a potential successful business model, IP strategy, regulatory roadmap, and more importantly, the team. Here is where we are going to sit properly with the academic institution, with the academic funders. That's where we think there's the main challenge in most of these companies, how you build the team initially, how you build your cap table around the company, who do you need at the time that you are building the company, and who are you going to be needing in the future. So all this process for us is fundamental, and we are planning to do that most of the cases before creating the company. And then also when the company setup phase, the idea is to establish all the licensing agreements, the transfer agreements, and securing the investment. And as I was saying, we are going to be doing that agnostically with any hospital, research center, pediatric associations, patient associations. So our idea, so you see here some logos, but also all logos are welcome. So we are agnostic in that way, and the projects that we already have identified are from many other institutions as well. So and this is maybe the part that for me is very important today to explain to you is So I explained you our approach to do the investment, our model, okay? But our model has different type of modalities, okay, on how we are backing the companies, how we are building the companies. And that's based more on our team experience, and I would like to share you 3 different ways that we are putting in action to do so, okay? The first one, and probably, at least for me, the more standard traditional one, is a tech transfer push, okay? And here, I like to show a couple of cases that I've been involved with previously. One is gate to brain. So company before being created was an IP, no, from 2 main institutions, Barcelona Children's and ERB in Barcelona. So the company started also through a process of traditional company creation, where, and in that case, the program Mind the Gap by the Botín Foundation did all the due diligence as they were building the company. So basically understanding the technology, understanding the indication, sharing the potential with experts, validating the IP, and basically creating shareholders agreement, licensing agreement, creating the company, doing the investment. And the company has been also been supported by important institutional investors like the EIC, and is now going to the clinical trials in a tech transfer push. Okay. Another case that is more advanced is Biotech, that is currently doing clinical trials, as you know, on pancreatic cancer as well in pediatrics. This is a company that was created years ago and has been going through different stages, has been invested by local VCs, has been also raising funds in capital cell and crowdfunding campaigns, has been received a lot of funding as well from institutional investors. But again, is a case where there was a very interesting technology from Barcelona Children's Hospital, and in this case, the UPC University in Catalonia. And again, there were some IP, and we built the company through that IP, and then we push the technology to the investors. And this has been basically, and we will continue doing that. So I will proactively ask the audience, the research centers, the institutions, to send us proposals on IP innovation that they consider that they could be a company, and we will be analyzing that together with the challenge and doing the, let's say, the company creation traditional modality on the tech transfer push. But then a second modality, at least we consider a different modality, is what I describe it very simplistically in patient pool. Okay, and I will use examples to do that. But before that, let me share you a bit about the methodology that we have been following on doing that. So I disclose that I've been an advisor of Deep Science Ventures. And Deep Science Ventures is a very known venture builder in the UK, and they use this particular methodology to build the companies that you will see that is different from the one that I was describing before. So for them, and I use this graph to explain, what they don't start with an IP or with engaging a particular research center. What they do is they do an identification of sector level areas. They identify areas where it could be interesting to do an investment in life sciences. Then they establish a partnership with industrial leaders in that, meaning companies, pharmaceutical companies, corporate companies, not being pharmaceutical companies in other sectors, as well as patient associations. People who know a lot, but not from academia in a particular sector. Then together, they identify opportunity areas in that particular sector. It is not the case, but a sector could be oncology, an industrial partner, it could be Cancer Research UK as a foundation, an opportunity area, it could be a particular pediatric cancer. Then, before doing a deep dive into the opportunity, they are selecting funders in residence. They are starting to build the team. And then together, the venture builder, the industry or patient association, and the funders, not the academics, they are doing a deep dive into this and building the company together. And sometimes then they are engaging with academic institutions. Sometimes they are not engaging with academic institutions to develop the solution. And then they are launching the company and raising funds. Okay, so this is what I describe patient pool way of creating companies. And just to show you another part of the methodology that they use is when they have a target outcome, okay, they are then analyzing if they are existing companies, if so, okay. So again, let's use the case of pediatric oncology. They are taking a particular indication and they are then making a map of what are the existing companies, what are the requirements, the tactics they are using, and then they do a list of solutions and also constraints to that particular target outcome. They are funneling that and trying to get a final solution and approach, and only by then also then approaching where we can develop that, where we can generate IP with. And to show you a couple of cases of that, one for me very interesting and familiar is Curage Therapeutics. So here, the process started by identifying neurofibromatosis type 1 as an indication that could be an interesting target outcome. That, as you can see, there are more patients than cystic fibrosis and much less FDA-approved therapies. It was an engagement then with a player in that is the Children's Tumor Foundation, where they see everything. They have the awareness of what's going on in diagnosis, understanding the disease, and they already have existing industry partnerships like companies like Alexion, and together they decided to do this process. And then what they did, as I was describing in the methodology, they selected a couple of funders of this technology. One was more an academic funder, Liron, who has previous experience on building gene therapy companies, and also a more entrepreneurial CEO type like Gonzalo, who has previous experience as CEO in other biotech companies. And then Gonzalo and Liron, during a year, they did all the company creation. And they funded a solution that was a curative mechanism, preventive potential, safe and long-lasting effect, that basically is a non-viral delivery with lipid nanoparticles. And then they are now developing that in collaboration with academic institutions. So this is a different way of building the company, and it is also a modality that we are considering. Another example that it is more familiar for several institutions in here is that in the case of monogenic kidney diseases, we identify that there was a 10% of adult CKD have a genetic origin of the mutation, and there's a collection of these genes. And together with another institution, NefCure, we did the same process to understand that there were no gene therapies to cure kidney diseases, that they were starting some companies like QSpring in the UK to develop this for adults, but no one was developing that for monogenic nephrotic syndrome in children. We understood the market. We understood that there were a few companies developing small molecules, other approaches to delay the process, but not to cure. And with this idea, then we approach what we consider the top institutions to do that, to develop that. And then we engage Waldebron Institute, and we engage institutions in the UK to build together the solution. And that's what we have been doing in Nineveh in the last years. And I can not disclose that, but the project is continuing, and it's been developed in the US. And basically, this is a model where in both cases, the company has been created more on the patient pool in collaboration with patient associations in this case. And then we have been engaging top institutions, top researchers together to develop the technology. Okay. And a third modality that we are now starting to explore is based more on a systemic need. And I will try to explain that in the next 2 slides. It's a bit more on experimental, because the first one, modality 1, is kind of established on tech transfer. The second one is being tested in the last 5-10 years, so it's already been proved. And the third one, this one is now more on experimental way, and I will explain that in the following. So this is a program we have with the Ship2B Foundation. It's called Systemic Impact Builder, and it's a new program based on this modality, and it's been started to test last year in our impact forum, and I will explain one case. So Educo is a well-known foundation, and with them we were analyzing a problematic situation that is happening in Barcelona with children aged 0 to 3, where they are receiving violence in many different ways. That obviously this is impacting clearly on not only on the development of the child, as well as the health and well-being. Okay, and our challenge was to how we could transform the caregiving model, initially in Barcelona, to find a solution for this type of violence in children 0 to 3. So based on that challenge, some of you, maybe you can see yourself here because I think you were there. We used a particular methodology where we invited into 2 different tables stakeholders associated with this particular problem. They were people who have suffered this, foundations, government, investors, institutional investors, private investors, hospitals, different type of what we consider that could be relevant to find a systemic solution for this particular problem. It is kind of an evolution of the modality 2. Modality 2 is based on a patient association or particular challenge and putting that in collaboration with academic institutions, okay? Finding an innovative solution for a particular problem and able to measure that impact. Here, what we are starting to do is more a collective way of finding a systemic solution for a particular problem that in this case is the one that has been described by Edu. So in the next years, we are going to be exploring this modality with the Ship2B Foundation, and not only in children's health, but as well in other areas like climate or longevity. But basically, this is another modality on how we are building companies. And following this, we have another case that we have been starting to explore together with the B-Value program that we have here at also the Ship2B Foundation, that we call it Kids Pharma, that is more on the problem associated with existing ways to deliver pediatric formulations to families. Okay, and we are also working on a systemic approach to find a solution for this particular problem. Okay, and this is also one case example that we are doing locally for this type of modality. And basically, that's it. What I was planning to explain to you today. I don't know. Maybe I have more questions. If you have questions, and
thank you very much, Marc. Now it's your time, the audience. You can make any question you have. You can write it through the chat or raise your hand. You have the option in the upper bar. Yes, Merari Chevalier.
Hello, thank you very much. Thank you, Marc. It was very interesting, and I really think that what you're doing is amazing. So I lead a very little startup that tries to propose a new therapy for neonatal ischemic stroke, also for adults, but focusing on neonatal because it's a small field that nobody's taking care of. So you mentioned a lot about the projects that are within public centers and maybe ready to tech transfer, but not little startups so much. So only to understand, in our case, in which we are an early stage little startup, if you think that there's still a match for the opportunities that you're offering.
Our fund, Montana, is investing into pre-seed. That means company creation, and that's why I focus my talk today. But we also do invest in seed and Series A. So already established companies who are already developing something. We are not a Series B or C fund, late stage, and the reason why we are not is because the need, where that's for me what's very important, Merari, to explain, is that our approach of invest is based on the need to do that at very early stage, because only 1.6% of the so if I am starting now to invest in late stage, it doesn't make sense because there's none. So for this, what I'm short answer is yes, companies that they are at your stage are also interesting for us.
There is a Marc Amat also with the hand raised.
Yeah, hi, Marc. Thanks again for your very nice presentation and initiative. So my question is more to do with, so you mentioned that you are not a venture philanthropist, but more like on the impact side of investing. So I'm also, and you also mentioned that impact is also as important to you as financial returns. So the question is there a difference, or what is the difference between a venture capital fund like you versus traditional venture capitalists? Is there any difference in the financial KPIs or anything, or?
Yeah, that's really good question, Amar. So, first, let me disclose that everything you do in health, to find a positive impact, it's impact, So in health, in particular, it's very different. It's not easy to separate what is a traditional life science investment from an impact investing, But our fund, and we choose the modality of impact investing, the reason is because we, as fund managers, it is obviously we are not venture philanthropy. We are seeking for projects who are going to produce financial return, okay? But we are also incorporating in our decision-making methodology and committees to make sure that impact is as well introduced in our decision making. I give you an example. Following the rationale of the example of pediatric oncology, a project in pediatric oncology could come to our scope, no? And we analyze the project, no? And potentially you can see that there's the same technology could be interesting for a adult oncology, no? And then if you think only on financial returns, maybe you will focus first in the adult indication to then go to the pediatric indication. We cannot do that. And that's the reason, the key reason to build this fund. We are gonna keep working on the pediatric indication on early stage, and because the use of our funds are allocated to that, and then eventually we will develop the adult indication as well in collaboration with other VCs. But this is the main focus of our fund, and in our decision making, we have established the process to do this type of decisions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Francesc. Paris.
Thank you, Marc, and congratulations for the fund. I would like to ask you, in name of Optech for Life, we are a company focused. It was created for monitor babies during the labor, but also NICUs. But also we work as a platform, so we have other indications in our pipeline. How you deal with that, and how you deal with the option, as you know, the timelines in R&D in this sector are quite long. So maybe between the time you invest in one company, you could pivot to another indication, which it's not particularly important for child, for example. How you will deal with companies that work as a platform and with different indications, and also what happens with this possibility of pivot to other indications that maybe it's out of your scope. Thank you, Marc.
Thank you, Francesc. So our fund is a pediatric first fund. So it has to be clear that the first indication, the population who will benefit the first is children. Okay, we are not against the development of the technology in adults. Okay, but it is our focus to use our funds to develop the pediatric solution for a pediatric population. Okay, so if the company develops the same the use of the same technology for adult indications, that's absolutely fine. But it has to be very clear in our decision making, and as well the intentionality of the team that is because this is very important for our decision making, and also for especially for how we are doing our company creation, that the intentionality of the funders and the management is to develop the indication for children. Okay, I give you advocate's devil argument. Okay, I know your case, and I know it's not your case. Okay, but we are receiving cases where you can see clearly that they were developing that for adults, and now they are kind of pivoting to children, you know, and this is not the case on in our fund. We are looking for pediatric first, and then adults potentially if it is important.
Thank you, Marc.
Okay, before following with the next raised hands, we have some questions in the chat. I'll try to group them. What ticket size do you typically plan to invest, and how do you allocate capital across 3 stages: pre-seed, seed, and Series A? And also, is there any geographic focus for your investments?
Yes, the first one. So we are considering to invest tickets from $500,000 to build companies. Okay, and we can go from there, doing follow-ons and in success in other rounds. Okay, and we are planning to do seed and Series A where we can go from 1.5 to 3 million syndicating with other investors. That's mainly our focus for Montana One. Geographically, we obviously being in Barcelona, we are have a clear focus in Spain, tech transfer in Spain. There are a lot of projects. We are so surprised on the deal flow that we are identifying projects in Spain that they are ready or potentially ready to be a company or at seed stage. And that's basically our main focus. But as a fund, we can allocate into European startups and even beyond. Okay, but our initial focus is Spain and Europe.
Thank you. And what is your typical investment horizon for an exit? And do you generally lean towards a strategic buyout or an IPO as your primary liquidity path?
Yeah, depending on the modality of the industry. So therapeutics and being an early stage fund, we are planning exits along the way, and then we are also analyzing strategic investments in things that are more with a shorter exit, and the market standards in terms of exit licensing, acquisitions, potentially IPOs, but also thinking about to make sure, but to prioritize as well that the European healthcare system benefits from our our investments. So we have a clear focus on being able to bring the solutions to the healthcare system in Europe.
Okay, thank you. Vincent, you had your hand raised.
Thank you, Adria, and hi, Marc. Thanks for the presentation. It was very instructive today. I really enjoyed it, and congratulations on bringing the fund about. It's amazing to see the strategy you've built. I have kind of a three-part question. I'd like you to say a few more words around the role of the patient and family communities across the modalities, and because you've already touched there on them. And I am also interested in how you plan on matching the investment opportunity identification with the relevant communities and associations. So where do you get the intelligence and find them to get the support to get to the unmet need? And then I'd also be curious around the Children's focus being only on pre-seed at this stage, whether there are plans to expand that into the other stages as well.
Okay, I will try to answer your questions, Vincent, but they are all good. And so starting from the Children's, so our Children's initiative, the collaboration with the Children's in this initiative, because the Children's is also, you can check on the website, is doing other things. It's basically because at the pre-seed stage and mostly at how you build the companies, it's really important in order them to grow properly and get traction with other investors and Series A, etc. No? So it is fundamental for us to be very surgical on how we are building the company. That's why we think we need this extra layer in our structure, in our model, to make this more efficient. No, I remember in one of the three is being very efficient on especially on building teams, because we are not into the solo entrepreneur way of thinking. We are more on building a good chemistry between academic founders, entrepreneurs, experts, advisors, senior advisors, who are the ones that we are going to help entrepreneurs and the academic founders to grow the company. No? That's for us. That's why we think the challenge is important at that particular stage. Okay, so that's one. So the second is, it's very interesting, the role of patient associations and how patient associations are also changing, no? and becoming more active on impact investing. So one clear example is the Children's Tumor Association the case I show you about curates, no? They not only are giving advice on, okay, this is working, this is not working, you need to do that type of things because blah blah blah. They are also actively investing into the company. They are a shareholder, okay, and because they want to obviously find ways to be sustainable as well as foundations, because as you know, and so there's a very interesting movement from venture philanthropy to impact investing, and how it's been fragmented, because if you are a cancer research, childhood cancer research organizations, you are interested only in building companies, obviously, because it's in your status not to build companies in childhood cancer. Okay, so you are going to partner with a potential impact fund that is more children's health in general, but to build a particular company for a particular, and then in a particular rare disease, you will find, or in children obesity. So how foundations are becoming relevant, it's important in that way of building companies, and they are super active, really super friendly. They are super excited, you know, because they have the first interest in this happening, you know.
Thanks so much, Marc.
We have Merari again.
I have two very quick more questions. First of all, thank you for mentioning this about prioritizing identification in children and pediatrics, because we often get pressure to pivot because it's easier with orals, etc. And we are sticking very strongly with going with neonatal and pediatrics. So thank you very much, because it's reassuring. So thanks. And then also we have a related project, a pre-seed project, that it's within Hospital Clínico San Carlos in Madrid, within the research foundation. And part of the entrepreneurial team is actually the chief of neonatology there, and also another neonatologist and me. And I only wanted to check again with you. You mentioned that for this pre-seed, not company yet, not startup, this was more focused in the child lens, which is a different entity. So this is a different subsidiary machine, and if we are interested in see if this project could be valuable, we should be directed directly to that entity, the child lens, right?
You're muted, Marc.
Yeah.
Sorry. If you are looking for investment, you have to contact Montana. Okay.
In this case, it will be building the company.
No, but I will explain you. We are using the child lens to support our company creation activities. Okay. Okay. If other institutions are interested on not in investment, but on other type of services, they can contact directly with the child lens. And
right.
Actually, this is already happening. Okay. But the point is that I was explaining our way to back the companies, and this extra layer that we are planning to provide to, particularly to academic institutions on this process, because based on particular experience, sometimes you create the company, you sign the documents, you are already established company, cap table, blah, 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 blah. And then things happen, you know, and we like to reduce the risk of these type of things by incorporating this extra layer. And this is the first comment. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And one very interesting thing that we will see in the coming years, I think, is that the risk associated to change from children to adult, it could be less risky because it's higher market, but maybe it's higher risk because it reduced the intentionality of the funders. So the measurement of this is not clear right now because we don't have data about this, no? But one of the things that I've seen in the last years on pediatric innovation is the resilience of the entrepreneurs much higher than in any other sector, because most of them, sometimes they are there not just because they want to develop something. There's obviously, you know, And in other sectors, I see people, when things are starting not to be as good as it looks, to change quickly, and that factor I think is really interesting in order to consider the risk of their investments.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and the two last quick questions. Which is the percentage of the company you keep, and if it's dilutive or non-dilutive, the money that you invest? I believe this is focused only in the building process, because we understand in other phases it's all dilutive, and it depends in every case.
Case by case. We are going to do case by case.
And as it's often difficult to raise a fund for pediatrics, did you raise the money first, or you developed the model first? In your case, as Montana.
So we learn by doing in the case, and the people that are here at i4Kids. So you can see, for me, the annual innovation day at i4Kids is kind of a measure, how we are building this. So you have to take into account that was announced, with the news from the EIF, that we are the first fund in Europe that it's 100% dedicated to children's health. So the only way basically to build that was by doing, and that's what we are. My idea today was more to explain you how we are planning to do the venture building and these three modalities. So we are going to be learning in the next years on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I believe that's all. We are just on time. Thank you very much, Marc, for this insightful session, and thanks to all of you for your participation, questions, and also your engagement. I believe some of you asked for the contact. You can contact Marc or also to us, and we will make the link. And just for a final reminder, our next training capsule, March 25 at 1 p.m. Be there. We're looking forward to see you again there. And that's all. Thank you very much. If you have any further question, or do you want to give us comments, reach us. And thank you very much.